light-skinned Sherlock Holmes is back to solve yet another mystery. So far this season, we are 3 for 3. Last week, we had solved, it was the monster with 21 faces, right? The evil, devious underground criminal organization poisoning all the candy and getting away with it, trolling the hell out of all of Japan, bro. Never thought I would ever stand a hardened, maniacal criminal, bro, but those people last week were on a whole other level, dude. I'm telling you. All right. This time we have the perplexing disappearance of Judge Joseph F. Carter. This is apparently fairly perplexing, but nothing is too perplexing for light-skinned Sherlock Holmes, so let's get it.
This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we're hearing the case of the most missingest man in America, New York State Supreme Court Judge Joseph.
The missingest man.
It's not a contest, though, right?
He's the most missingest man to ever done the missings. That's what happened.
Anyone who's missing is missing.
Joseph
like
Forrest
just
Crater
missing.
was born on January 5th, 1889, in Pennsylvania, less than 100 miles from New York City. Crater was a dapper dresser and a hard worker, attending Lafayette College for his undergraduate education and eventually Columbia Law, where he met his future wife, Stella Wheeler. Stella was married when she met Crater, but the young lawyer helped her with her divorce, and the two married in 1917.
Bro, that's fire, bro. Dude, Joseph just like me, bro. He fly as hell, he's smart as hell, and he gon' swoop in like Trey Songz, Mr. Steel Girl, and take your bitch. He just like me,
To
bro.
have research officially show that he's a dapper man?
Crater worked as a law clerk and taught at various colleges around New York, eventually landing a job as a secretary for New York Supreme Court Justice Robert Wagner. Crater began practicing law at his firm when Wagner was elected to the U.S. Senate, becoming somewhat of a protege under the politician. Crater went on to become rather wealthy as a lawyer. In 1927, he bought an apartment on Fifth Avenue as a gift for Stella, and the couple also enjoyed a summer home in Belgrade Lakes, Maine. Crater's ambitions, however, weren't strictly financial, and the young attorney made quite a name for himself in politics. In April 1930, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, then the governor of New York, appointed Crater to the New York Supreme Court.
Yeah, I know that
While
guy.
the Great Depression was strangling much of the nation, Crater was earning $25,000 a year, more than $375,000 in 2021 dollars.
And if it was still $25,000, he's still making more than me, bro.
Worth
nice.
mentioning too, by the way, the
Real
apartment
nice,
he bought
dude.
on Fifth Avenue, which
Yeah.
is prime time.
Yeah.
He bought that as a gift for his, I guess, wife at that point. On August 2nd, 1930, only a few months after his appointment to the state Supreme Court, Crater and his wife arrived at their Maine vacation home. There, Crater took several phone calls that Stella said angered him. Crater had to return to New York City for business the next day, but he told his wife he'd be back in Maine by August 9th, her birthday. Crater spent the night of August 4th at the Fifth Avenue apartment and informed the Maine
That is important.
30, only a few months after his
August
appointment
2nd,
to the
okay.
state
So
Supreme
he claimed he'll be back in exactly 1 week,
Court.
okay?
Crater and
That
his
is
wife
important.
arrived at their Maine vacation home. There, Crater took several phone calls that Stella said angered him. Crater had to return to New York City for business the next day, but he told his wife he'd be back in Maine by August 9th, her birthday. Crater spent the night of August 4th at the Fifth Avenue apartment and informed the maid he'd be heading back to Maine on the 7th. Crater went to his office on August 5th and again on August 6th. At one point on the 6th, he sent his secretary to the bank to withdraw $5,150, the equivalent of more than $80,000 today.
Ooh.
The judge later returned to
Okay.
his apartment and dismissed the
Okay,
maid,
interesting.
telling her he was going swimming. Stella would later find this detail odd, as Crater reportedly did not enjoy swimming. That evening, Crater visited his friend and ticket broker, Joseph Gansky, who arranged for Crater to attend the Broadway show Dancing Partner. Despite the fact that the show had only opened the previous night, some reports claim the judge had actually already seen it. In either event, Crater then made his way on foot to Billy Haas Chop House in the theater district on West 45th Street. There, Crater dined with attorney William Klein and showgirl Sally Lou Ritz. Around 9:15 p.m., the trio left the restaurant.
So far, there's nothing too suspicious. Like, it's just some rich white dude just doing rich white dude things. You know what I'm saying? He's a Supreme Court guy, so he got the call and he was pissed off. He was angry over what the call was or the reason he had to leave. He had to leave, whatever, right? So he leaves. He goes back to his $1 million apartment in his $1 million suit, driving his $1 million car. You know what I'm saying? He handles his business, right? They said he went to the office a bunch of times. He handles his business, right? He's still got a couple days before he got to be back for his wife. So his rich ass gets some tickets to a Broadway show, because I guess that's what rich people do. And then he walks down to where rich people eat at the rich ass steakhouse. So far, it's not anything too out of the ordinary. He's just doing rich people things.
Crater reportedly got in a taxi, presumably to get to Dancing Partner, and was never seen again.
So he's gone.
He's gone.
Wait.
Never reportedly.
I thought he went to see the thing and then went to dinner, and then that makes no sense. So wait.
Joseph Gansky, who arranged for Crater to attend the Broadway show Dancing Partner, despite the fact that the show had only opened.
Oh, he didn't. Okay, that makes sense. He didn't get the thing. Okay, he went to get the tickets first and then went to dinner and then was, okay, that makes sense.
The previous night,
that makes
some
sense.
reporter then made his way on foot to Billy Haas Chop House, presumably to get to Dancing Partner, and was never seen again. Though Judge Crater was last seen on August 6th, it wasn't until weeks later that people began to worry about the missing man. When her husband didn't show up in Maine on August 7th, Stella sent the chauffeur to New York to look for him. In the city, the maid told the chauffeur that the judge was bound to show up sooner or later, and that he'd make his way to Maine when he did. Meanwhile, the days ticked away. Stella assumed Crater was working, while his colleagues assumed he was in Maine with Stella. Eventually, someone realized Crater was missing. On September 3rd, almost a month after he was last seen.
Nobody has seen or heard from him in over a month, and that's when you decide, oh yeah, maybe something ain't right. Yeah, not one person has heard of his still breathing, he's still living in over a month. Maybe now we should start to be concerned. Nice, man.
Crater's disappearance was announced to the public.
Nice.
The next day, a missing persons report was filed with the NYPD, and his vanishing became a nationwide story. When someone didn't show up for something, people would say they, quote,
nice, $5,000 reward for information on the missing person who can buy a $5,000 steak within his sleep, dude. Nice.
When someone didn't show up for something, people would say they, quote, pulled a Crater, end quote.
What happened?
People would say became a nationwide story. When someone didn't show up for something, people would say they, quote, pulled a crater, end quote. Now here we're getting into the point where obviously people were having a little bit of fun with this.
Well, that's all you could do. Someone goes missing, you have a little fun with it.
Yeah. What would be
Bro, dude went missing and people started making memes, bro. Nice. No, bro, this
like taking a nap in the shower.
That
or real fucking nice, bro.
Cutting around,
having trouble fitting through doors. Dead bodies found in hotel rooms were checked by police for resemblance to Crater. Nearly 100 witnesses were called in a grand jury inquiry regarding his disappearance.
I have a theory running right now. I have a theory running, and I feel like it is an airtight theory. and I'm running with it, and so far there is nothing here that debunks what is running and going on in my head right now. I'm telling you, I think I got it figured.
January 1931, the grand jury reached the only conclusion they could. They had no idea what happened to the judge. With Joseph Crater missing and a grand jury unable to come up with any conclusions, it's time for us to judge some theories.
Okay.
Our first theory.
I've got a theory. We gonna listen to the theories that our gang has to see, and then I will give you the real theory on what happened. It's not even a theory. I will give you the factual events of what occurred. That's what's gonna happen.
Is that Crater ran away from his life to start a new one.
No, that's
Crater
not what
was
happened.
well connected
Nope.
in the world of New York Democratic politics during a time when such ties could have been a liability. In particular, investigations into political corruption in the city were heating up, especially surrounding
I believe it.
Tammany Hall, the notorious political organization that first became synonymous with corruption in the 19th century due to its use of boss rule. Some think Crater may have fled to avoid testifying against those who helped him throughout his career. Some also suggest Crater may have been buying and selling judgeships, perhaps even his own, on the New York Supreme Court. This claim was even made publicly by a Republican candidate for governor. If such accusations were true, and the
Now, the thing with that is, was Crater a Democrat? Because we know that politicians just be saying shit. Politicians just be saying whatever the fuck they want to say, whatever the fuck they think they want people to hear, bro. So if that dude was a Republican and Crater was a Democrat, then that dude was probably just talking out of his ass, slandering this dude Crater to make himself look better. You know what I'm saying? That's what politicians been doing. I don't know, man. I feel like
judge feared investigations surrounding Tammany Hall would
I feel like
expose
it's just him
him.
talking.
Then perhaps Crater decided to run instead of defend himself. Crater may have also fled his old life to start a new one with a mistress. The investigation into his disappearance turned up a rotation of beautiful girls he'd regularly socialize with, and he was known to have a fondness for showgirls. Crater's appetite for dancing and reputation as an enthusiastic womanizer led to the nickname of Good Time Joe.
Now that's a good name.
Bro, see, he really just like me, bro. He just surrounded by booty 24/7, bro. He really just like me.
that he had an appetite
That's
for
crazy.
dancing.
I think he had an appetite for other things as well. Furthering this theory, in the years after his disappearance, there was no shortage of alleged sightings of the judge. In 1936, a gold prospector named Lucky Blackiette went to the
he looks like a
LAPD
gold
to report
prospector.
having met Crater near the gold rush town of Julian, California. According to Lucky, the man admitted to being the missing Supreme Court judge and said, quote, "In one more year, I will be legally dead. I hope I can stick it out that long," end quote. Lucky's tip was actually supported by another report received by the LAPD's Missing Persons Bureau 5 years prior of a sighting just 60 miles from Julian. Local authorities, along with New York detectives, began a search. In their investigation, police spoke with multiple people who recognized Crater's photo. One storekeeper remembered the man buying $5 worth of food, while another person said the man in the picture seemed to be well educated, but sucked at mining. Needless to say, Crater was not found. Our leading story tonight, Joseph F. Crater, still missing. Now, for a lead in the case, we go to Julian, California to talk to a prospector.
Yeah, I seen him. I seen him out there in the hills. I was out there panning in the creek.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Perhaps the
saying.
biggest
It's
piece
just a
of evidence
dude.
supporting the idea that Crater intentionally abandoned his old life was the large amount of money withdrawn from the bank on the day of his disappearance. It was later
I
reported,
have an explanation for that.
however, that Stella found the money he'd withdrawn, meaning if he'd actually started a new life, he did so without the $5,150.
He's living this fly by the seat of his pants life with all these show gals, and he's keeping up appearances
The
with
fact that she found the money adds on an addition to my theory. I'm
Wife
telling
who
you.
clearly
Okay, I think
doesn't give a
I
shit
got it.
about
I
it.
think I got
Imagine,
it.
though, like, he doesn't actually change his, like, wardrobe. Our next theory is one posited by author and journalist Richard J. Toffel, that Crater's body was disposed of after he died of natural causes. To begin, Toffel believes one part of the
That theory is half right. This is half of what I was going to say. I'm telling
story
you.
everyone
I
was
think
told
I got
that Crater
this.
got into a cab
I
after
got
dinner
this.
is incorrect. Toffel examined the testimony of Crater's two companions that night and found that they both reported getting into a cab while Crater set off down the street on foot. Bolstering this allegation is the fact that Dancing Partner, the show he had a ticket for, was only a 10-minute walk away from the restaurant. Toffel believes that after catching the second half of the show, Crater may have made his way to a nightclub and then eventually wound up at a brothel operated by famous Madam Polly Adler. Toffel suggests that while soliciting service from the venue, Crater died of natural causes. Toffel claims an early draft of Adler's memoir is said to specifically mention
Wait. But didn't they say at the beginning that he got into a cab? And now they're telling me that he left on foot.
Crater's death and the subsequent removal of his body by one of Adler's mobster friends. Unfortunately, no copies of this early draft have been found. Our last theory is that Judge Crater was murdered.
Here we go, boys. The juicy
According
one.
to
Here we
NYPD
go.
historian John Podracki, this is the semi-official consensus. Some posit that far from being afraid to testify about Tammany Hall, Crater was prepared to expose the corruption and that the mob silenced him before he had the opportunity. At the time of her husband's disappearance and reasserted in an interview 25 years later, Stella Crater believed the judge had been kidnapped and murdered. Stella's quoted as saying, quote, "Joe Crater would not run away from anything or anybody," end quote. Some claim that one of his mistresses could have had a boyfriend with ties to the mob, or that Crater was being blackmailed by a showgirl who had her boyfriend kill the judge. The grand jury into his disappearance brought up some possible connections to nefarious dealings, but as noted before, none of these links were strong enough to conclude anything. In 2005, 75 years after Crater went missing, Stella Ferrucci Good of Belrose, Queens, no relation to Stella Crater, died at the age of 91. In her safety deposit box, her family found an envelope that read, "Do not open until my death."
Cool.
Where do you think we're going with this?
I don't know, and so I am.
Why?
thrilled.
I love this. Inside were notes that claimed Ferrucci Good's husband, Robert Good, who had died in 1975, knew what had happened to Judge Crater. The note said that over drinks with her husband one night, taxi driver Frank Burns claimed to have been driving the cab Crater got into after dinner. Burns reportedly
So he
drove
did get into a
few
fucking cab. Okay, that's what I was worried about. I didn't know if he was on foot or okay, so he was in the
driving
cab.
the cab Crater got into after dinner. Burns reportedly drove a few blocks before two accomplices jumped into the car with him. The taxi driver took the judge to Coney Island, where Crater was murdered and buried under the boardwalk. While no motivation was given in the notes, a specific location was. By the time the letter was discovered, however, the New York Aquarium had been constructed over that section of the boardwalk. It said that until her death, every year on August 6th, Stella Crater would visit a bar in Greenwich Village in New York City and order 2 drinks. Before downing one of the drinks, Stella would reportedly toast to her missing husband, saying,
That's
quote,
sad, bro.
"Good luck, Joe, wherever you are," end quote. Then leave the other drink at the bar. Still can't forgive her for leaving a little smoke wagon there on the bar. You know what I'm
That's a
talking
crime.
Yeah, leaving
That's an absolute crime.
a full glass of whiskey.
Free drink
If I were
for the
sitting
next
next to her
person,
and she
bro.
was like, this one's for my missing husband.
Wealthy, powerful, and well-connected,
All right.
Judge Crater was poised to be an influential
All right.
figure in New York
Here's the theory.
for years.
I think we're done, right?
Despite his high profile and decades of sleuthing, there's still almost nothing outside of pure speculation surrounding the fate of, quote, the most missingest man in America. Meaning,
Nobody has
whatever
ever been
happened
more missing.
to Judge Joseph Force Crater that early August remains unsolved.
Here's what I think happened. All right. Here are the detailed events of the situation. Here's what happened. All right. First of all, that shit about him being killed at Coney Island and buried on it, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Because remember they said that he became like this big notorious like huge thing, right? The papers were talking about it, people were making jokes, people, you know what I'm saying, were making nicknames and stuff like that. So I think that was a result of that time, right? Everybody and anybody was talking about this dude missing, they were making memes, they were making jokes, they were doing whatever. So I think during that time, that's when that note was written, and whoever that fucking girl was, she probably wrote that herself. She probably was like a little kid or like a teenager or something. She just was like in her mind. She's like, oh, let me write this fucking fake story, put in a safety deposit box. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that was real, and I don't think the mob was real either. Here's what I think happened, all right? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you the specific details that make me think of this. Here's what I think happened, right? He goes to Maine with his girl, right? He goes to Maine with his woman. They're up there. They're kicking it. They're chilling, vibing, probably fucking a lot, having a good old time, enjoying themselves, right? He gets, right? They said he got multiple calls that made him angry. What I think happened is I think the topic of those phone calls possibly made him angry, and also the idea that he was forced to return to New York to handle this business pissed him off, because he was enjoying a nice little mini vacation with his girl in Maine. Now he's got to fucking take time and go back to the office and handle this work, so he's probably pissed off, you know what I'm saying, because nobody likes working. Don't nobody like having a job, you know what I'm saying? So he goes back to New York, right? He's there, he's doing his job, blah, 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 right? Whatever. Okay, cool, right? He goes and he withdraws that $80,000, or in that time it was $5,000, right? The $80,000, right? Now, he's a rich asshole, right? He's a rich white dude. So what I think he possibly, like, withdrew that money to purchase something, right? To purchase like a gift for his wife. You know what I'm saying? Purchase like a car, or purchase, you know what I'm saying? I think he planned on doing something with the money, obviously. He planned on buying something, whether it was a gift, whatever, right? So he has all of that money with him. He has all of that fucking money with him, right? He goes and he uses some of that money to buy the tickets for the show, right? He goes to buy the tickets for the show. And then he goes and he walks down to the restaurant, right? He probably still has all of this fucking money on him. So he goes down to the restaurant, right? That restaurant is full of rich assholes. So him having a lot of money doesn't matter, because half of them probably got even more money. They laugh like, ha, all you got is $80K with your broke ass. You know what I'm saying? So he's kicking it, he's cooling, he's enjoying a nice delicious steak, whatever, right? So he gets into a taxi, right? Instead of going from the steakhouse straight to the theater, I think, right? Because he could have just, if he walked there, he could have easily just walked back. I think he went back to his apartment. Because, and what makes me think that is the wife said that she found the money that he withdrew. She found that fucking money, right? So I think that he went to bring the money back to his apartment and then go back to the movie theater, right? So he gets into this taxi, right? He gets into the taxi. Either the taxi driver or someone else seen him with all that money, right? He goes to his apartment. He puts the money up into his apartment, whatever. He comes back out. He gets into the fucking taxi, and he gets his ass robbed. That's why either the taxi driver robbed his dumb ass. That's why I think it was a taxi driver, because nobody knows what happened to him. So I think the taxi driver robbed his ass, killed him, and took his shit, right? Took his watch, took his wallet, took whatever expensive shit he had on him. He knew he was rich because he had all that money on him. Robbed his ass, killed his ass, and dumped his body somewhere, buried it somewhere, threw it in the ocean, something, bro. He got rid of the body, and he enjoyed a nice little Christmas bonus. Boom. That's what I think happened. That's what I think happened. I think somebody seen that he was rich. They robbed his ass. They killed him. They hid his body. Nobody ever found his body. Nobody ever talked about it again. Boom. That is what happened. Those are the facts of the case. He was robbed and got his ass clapped up. Boom. Case closed. Light-skinned Sherlock Holmes has solved another one. Perfect score. FBI, hire me because I solve every case. Boom.